I stood at the altar with my hands shaking, but not from fear, from joy. I kept telling myself, this is really happening, Daniel. After everything, you finally get this. Ben leaned over from beside me, straightening my collar for the third time. Relax, man. You look like you about to pass out. I'm fine, I said. Just excited. Excited people don't sweat through their shirts. I laughed, wiping my palms on my pants. The church was full, every seat taken. My father sat in the front row, dressed sharper than I'd ever seen him, smiling in that quiet way he did when he was proud but didn't want to make a scene about it. The music started. Everyone turned toward the doors. I held my breath. The doors stayed closed. The music kept playing, looping back to the beginning. And still, nothing happened. I glanced at Ben. He shrugged, but I caught the flicker of worry cross his face before he hit it. Maybe she's nervous, he whispered. Brides are always late. 2 minutes passed, then 5, then 10. The whispering started behind me. Soft at first, just a murmur rippling through the pews, but it grew. I heard someone say, "Is everything okay?" I heard someone else say, "This is strange." My father stood up and walked toward the back of the church. I watched him disappear through the doors, and my stomach twisted into something tight and cold. "Ben," I said, "go check on it." He jogged off, and I stood there alone at the altar, in front of 200 people, holding a bouquet of nerves I didn't know what to do with. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. When Ben came back, his face had changed completely. He wasn't joking anymore. He wasn't smiling. "Daniel," he said quietly, "come with me. Just come outside for a second." "What's going on? Where's Claire?" "Just come outside." My legs moved before my brain caught up. I walked down the aisle, past all those faces, all those eyes following me, and I felt like I was walking into a trap I couldn't see. Outside, my father stood near the church steps, holding a folded piece of paper. His hand trembled. "Dad, what is that?" He didn't answer right away. He just held it out to me. "Read it, son." My fingers felt numb as I opened it. I recognized Claire's handwriting immediately, the loops in her letters, the way she always dotted her I's a little too high. "Daniel, I'm sorry. I can't do this. I still love Marcus. I always have. I thought I could move on, but I can't lie to myself anymore, and I won't lie to you either. Please don't look for me. I'm sorry it happened this way. Claire." I read it twice, then a third time, like the words might rearrange themselves into something that made sense. "This isn't real," I said. "This has to be some kind of joke. Daniel, where is she? Did someone see her leave?" My father's silence answered the question I didn't want answered. "She left with him," I said. "She left with Marcus. On our wedding day." "I'm so sorry," my father said, and his voice cracked in a way I'd never heard before. "I don't know what to tell you." Behind me, I heard the church doors open. Guests were spilling out, phones already in hand, voices low but not low enough. "Did you hear? She just left him standing there." I always thought something was off with those two. Poor guy, in front of everyone. Each word hit me like a slap. I wanted to disappear. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow the tuxedo, the flowers, the 200 chairs, all of it. Ben stepped in front of me, blocking the stairs. "Give him some space," he said, loud enough for people to hear. "Show's over. Go home." "Ben, I don't need you to." "Yes, you do," he said, quieter now, "just for me. Let me handle this." I don't remember walking back inside. I don't remember sitting down on the front pew, staring at the flowers that were supposed to mean something. I just remember the church slowly emptying out, one family at a time, until it was almost silent again. Almost. "Daniel." I looked up. Olivia stood a few feet away, still in her bridesmaid dress, her makeup slightly smudged like she'd been crying. Claire's younger sister. She didn't say anything else right away. She just walked over and sat beside me, close enough that I could feel she wasn't going anywhere. "You don't have to talk," she said. "I just didn't want you sitting here by yourself." "Did you know?" I asked. "Did you know she was going to do this?" "No," she said, and her voice broke on the word. I swear. Daniel, I had no idea. If I had known, I would have told you. I would never let this happen to you. I believed her. I don't know why. But in that moment, Hayes was the only voice that didn't sound like pity. I don't understand, I said. I don't understand how someone just leaves like that. On today, of all days. I don't understand it either, she said. But I'm not going anywhere. Not right now. My father and Ben stood near the doors, giving us space, talking in low voices about what to do next. Who to call, what to tell people, how to explain the unexplainable. I sat there in my tuxedo, staring at an altar with no bride, holding a piece of paper that had ended everything I thought I knew. She was supposed to be here, I whispered, more to myself than to Olivia. She was supposed to be standing right there. Olivia didn't answer. She just reached over and took my hand, and for the first time since the music had stopped playing, I didn't feel completely alone. I stopped counting the days after the first week. My phone stayed face down on the kitchen counter, buzzing every so often, and I let it buzz. I didn't want to hear another voice telling me it would be okay. I kept replaying it. The doors that never opened. The music looping. The note in my hand. Some nights I'd wake up at 3 in the morning, certain I'd heard the church doors creak open, only to remember there were no doors. Just my bedroom ceiling, staring back at me. Ben let himself in with the spare key on a Thursday. I hadn't showered in 2 days. You look terrible, he said, dropping a grocery bag on the counter. Thanks. Really lifts my mood. I'm serious, Daniel. When's the last time you ate something that wasn't cereal? I don't know. Does it matter? He turned to face me, and for once, there was no joke waiting behind his eyes. Yeah, it matters. You can't just disappear because she did. I'm not disappearing. I stopped, because I didn't actually have an answer. You're just what? I don't know, Ben. I don't know what I'm doing. He didn't push. He just started making food, moving around my kitchen like it was his own, and I sat there watching him, grateful he hadn't left. My father called every day. I ignored most of them, but he showed up in person the following week, letting himself in without asking. You can't keep doing this, he said, standing in my living room like he owned it. Doing what? Hiding. Rotting in hay. You think Clay is sitting somewhere feeling sorry for you. I don't care what Clay is doing. Then stop acting like you do. His voice was hard, but I caught the worry underneath it. I raised you tougher than this. Tougher than getting left at the altar. I don't think that's a class they taught you, Dad. He sighed and sat down across from me. No, but I raised you to get back up. That part, I did teach you. I didn't answer. I just stayed at the floor, because getting back up felt impossible from where I was sitting. Olivia started coming by a few days later. The first time, she didn't even knock. She just texted, I'm outside, and I brought food, so you don't have an excuse. I let her in because I didn't have the energy to say no. She set containers of soup on my counter without asking if I wanted any. You don't have to do this, I said. I know I don't have to. She pulled 2 bowls from my cabinet like she already knew where everything was. I want to. Why? Because someone should, she said simply, and because I feel like this is partly my fault too. How is any of this your fault? She's my sister. I should have seen something. She sat down across from me, sliding a bowl over. I keep thinking if I'd paid more attention, maybe I could have stopped it before it got this far. You couldn't have stopped Claire from doing anything. Believe me, I tried. She almost smiled at that, just barely. Eat your soup, Daniel. I did, and for the first time in weeks, the silence between 2 people didn't feel unbearable. It felt like something close to peace. She came back 2 days later, and then again after that. Some visits. We barely spoke. She'd just sit on the other end of my couch, scrolling through her phone, letting me exist in my own quiet without demanding anything from me. Other times, she'd ask small questions, easing me back into speaking in full sentences again. You don't have to fix me, I told her one evening. I'm not trying to fix you, she said. I'm just making sure you're not doing this alone. Grace showed up without warning on a Sunday afternoon. I almost didn't open the door when I saw her through the window, but something made me let her in. Daniel, she said, her voice already shaking. I don't even know where to start. You don't have to say anything, Grace. Yes, I do. She sat down, wringing her hands like she'd rehearsed this and still couldn't get the words out right. I raised her. I raised both my daughters, and I still don't understand how she could do this to you. I keep asking myself what I did wrong. This isn't your fault, isn't it? Her eyes were wet now. I saw signs, Daniel. Small ones. The way she'd get quiet whenever Marcus's name came up. I told myself it was nothing. I wanted it to be nothing. You couldn't have known she'd do this. Maybe not exactly this. But I knew something wasn't right, and I said nothing, and now you're sitting here alone because of it. She wiped her eyes. I'm sorry. For whatever that's worth. It's worth something, I said quietly. Thank you for coming. After she left, I sat in the quiet of my apartment, thinking about everyone who had shown up for me in the past few weeks. My father, pushing me to stand back up. Ben, refusing to let me disappear. Grace, carrying guilt that wasn't even hers to carry. And Olivia. I thought about the way she never asked me to be okay. She just kept showing up, bowl of soup in hand, sitting with me in silence when I had nothing left to say. I'd always thought of her as Claire's sister, the quiet one, the one who stood off to the side at family dinners. But somewhere between the soup and the silence, I started noticing her as something else entirely. Someone who never once let me down. I wasn't ready to name what that meant. Not yet, but I noticed it. Olivia and I had fallen into a rhythm neither of us talked about out loud. Tuesday nights, she'd bring dinner. Weekends, we'd end up on my couch, talking about nothing important until it turned into something that mattered. Can I ask you something? I said one night, setting my fork down. Depends what it is. Why do you keep coming here? You don't owe me anything. She thought about it for a moment. Maybe I don't, but I want to. That's not really an answer. Fine. She set her own fork down, meeting my eyes. I keep coming because I like being here. Because talking to you feels easy, even when everything else in my life feels complicated. Easy, I repeated. I don't feel like an easy person right now. You're not exactly easy, she said, almost smiling. But being around you is. I looked away first. Can I tell you something honest? Always. I'm scared, I admitted. Not of being alone. I think I could handle alone. I'm scared of trusting someone again and having it happen all over. Watching someone I love just leave. Without warning. That's fair, she said quietly. I don't think that fear ever fully goes away. But it doesn't mean it has to control you either. How do you know that? Because I've been scared of something similar for years. Scared of what? She hesitated, and for the first time since we'd started these late-night conversations, I saw her search for the right words instead of speaking easily. Scared that I'd always be the one standing next to the person everyone actually noticed, she said. Claire got attention just by walking into a room. I got used to being the sister standing beside her. That's not true. I noticed you. Did you, though? Her voice wasn't angry, just honest. Because for years, Daniel, I envied her. Not for her looks or her confidence. I envied that you looked at her the way you never looked at me. The room went quiet. I didn't know what to say, because she wasn't wrong. I hadn't looked at her. Not back then. I'm looking now, I said finally. She didn't answer right away, but something in her expression softened. Sarah Lynn cornered Olivia about it before I ever heard the full story. Olivia told me herself, laughing a little at how obvious she must have been. She just came right out and said it, Olivia told me later. She said, "You've been smiling at your phone for a week straight. Who is he?" What did you tell her? I told her it was nothing. And she believed that. Not for a second, Olivia said. She told me I should stop pretending and just be honest. She said, if you like him, tell him. Life's too short to keep standing on the sidelines. Sarah sounds like she doesn't miss much. She doesn't, Olivia said. She's usually right about things too. Annoyingly right. The whispers about Claire reached me a week later, secondhand through Ben, who'd heard it through someone from the old group. You're not going to believe this, Ben said, dropping onto my couch uninvited as usual. Believe what? Claire and Marcus. What is it's already falling apart? Falling apart how? Apparently he's been seen with someone else. More than once. And Claire's been a mess about it, crying to anyone who'll listen. I sat with that information longer than I expected to. Some ugly, buried part of me felt something close to satisfaction. Good, I said. Let her feel what she put me through. Careful, Ben said. That's a dangerous road to go down. I'm not doing anything. I'm just saying it's Faye. Olivia came by that evening, and I told her the same thing, expecting her to agree, maybe even feel some quiet vindication of her own. Instead, she frowned. You don't mean that. Why not? She humiliated me. She left me standing at an altar in front of 200 people. Why shouldn't I feel something when karma finally shows up? Because if you build your happiness on her downfall, you're still letting her control your life, Olivia said, just from a different direction. That's not Faye. Isn't it? She pushed. Right now, you're not healing, Daniel. You're just waiting for her to suffer so you can feel better about yourself. That's not the same thing as moving on. I wanted to argue, but the words wouldn't come, because somewhere underneath my anger, I knew she was right. So what am I supposed to do instead? I asked. Just forgive her. Pretend it didn't happen. No, Olivia said gently. You're supposed to build something good for yourself that has nothing to do with her at all. Something that isn't a reaction to what she did. Something that's just yours. I sat with that for a long moment, letting it settle somewhere deeper than my anger. You make it sound simple. It's not simple, she said, but it's possible. I looked at her, really looked, the way I hadn't let myself look at anyone in weeks, and something shifted quietly inside me. Not the loud kind of realization, a slow one, the kind that creeps up on you until you can't remember not seeing it. You're right, I said. I don't want to build anything around her anymore. Good, Olivia said, a small smile finally breaking through. Because I'd rather you build something around something worth keeping. I didn't answer with words. I just let the silence between us say what neither of us was ready to say out loud yet. I bought the ring on a Tuesday, and I almost talked myself out of it 3 separate times before I even left the store. You're overthinking this, Ben said, watching me turn the small box over in my hands for the 10th time. You either want to marry her or you don't. I want to marry her, I said. That part I'm sure of. Then what's the problem? The problem is the last time I did this, I ended up standing alone in front of 200 people. Ben leaned back. This isn't the last time, Daniel. This is Olivia. She's not Claire. I know that. Do you? Because you're holding that ring like it's a live grenade. He was right, and I knew it. I closed the box and put it in my jacket pocket. I'm doing it tonight. Good. Because if you keep stalling, I'm going to do it for you. And trust me, my proposal skills are terrible. I took Olivia to the same small restaurant where we'd had our first real dinner together, back when neither of us called it a date. She noticed something was different the moment we sat down. You're quiet, she said. Quiet like you're planning something. Maybe I am. Daniel. I reached into my pocket instead of answering and set the box on the table between us. Her hand went to her mouth. I'm not doing this because of anything that happened before, I said. I need you to know that. I'm doing this because somewhere between the soup and the silence and every honest conversation we've had, I fell in love with you. Not with the idea of you. With you. Daniel. Marry me, I said. Not to prove anything to anyone. Just because I don't want to build a life with anyone else. Her eyes filled up, and for a second she didn't say anything at all. Yes, she finally said. Yes, of course, yes. I slid the ring onto her hand, and for the first time in months, the tight knot in my chest loosened completely. There's just one thing, she said, wiping her eyes, laughing a little at herself. My mother. Claire, how is this going to look to them? I don't care how it looks. I do, she admitted. A little. I keep imagining Mom's face when we tell her. Or Weiss, Claire finding out her sister is marrying her ex-fiancé. We're not doing anything wrong, Olivia. I know that. It just feels complicated. It is complicated, I said. But I'd rather have something complicated and real than something simple and empty. Grace took the news better than either of us expected. I sat across from her in her living room, watching her turn the information over slowly, carefully, the way she seemed to do with everything now. "I'm happy for you," she finally said. "Genuinely. Olivia deserves someone who sees her." "Thank you, Grace. That means a lot. But I have to say something, and I need you to actually hear it." Her expression turned serious. "Claire isn't doing well right now. If she finds out about this, I don't know how she'll react. She might try to interfere. I'm not worried about Claire." "Maybe you should be, just a little," Grace said. "Not because I think she deserves another chance with you. She doesn't. But desperate people do unpredictable things. And right now, Claire's about as desperate as I've ever seen her." "I appreciate the warning," I said. "But nothing she does is going to change my answer." "I hope you're right," Grace said. "I really do." 2 weeks later, Vincent called me into his office, and I assumed it was about the quarterly numbers I'd been buried in for weeks. "Sit down, Daniel," he said, sliding a folder across the desk. "Is something wrong?" "Quite the opposite." He smiled. "I've been watching how you've handled yourself these past few months. Through everything, you didn't fall apart. You showed up, did the work, kept your composure. That says a lot about a person." "I appreciate that, Vincent. I'm promoting you," he said simply. "Senior manager, effective next month. You've earned it." I sat there for a moment, letting it sink in. Not long ago, I couldn't get out of bed. Now I had a promotion in one hand and an engagement ring on Olivia's finger. "Thank you," I said. "This means more than you know." "You did the work," Vincent said. "I just noticed." Word about the engagement traveled fast, the way it always did in a small circle of people who all knew each other. Ben told me later that it had reached Claire within days. "How'd she take it?" I asked, even though I wasn't sure I wanted the answer. "Not great, from what I heard," Ben said. "Apparently things with Marcus have gotten worse. He's been seen with someone else, more than once, and Claire's basically on her own now, struggling to keep her apartment, let alone anything else. And now she hears her sister's marrying me." "Yeah," Ben said. I imagine that stung a little. I felt that same uncomfortable flicker of satisfaction again, quieter this time, but Olivia's voice from weeks earlier settled over it before it could take root. "Build something good, for yourself, that has nothing to do with her at all. I hope she figures her life out," I said, and I meant it, mostly. But that's not my responsibility anymore. We set the wedding date for early spring. For the first time since the last altar I'd stood at, I wasn't scared of what waited for me at the end of the aisle. I stood at the altar for the second time in my life, and this time, my hands weren't shaking from nerves. They were steady. Olivia's father had passed years ago, so Grace walked her down the aisle herself, and when the doors opened, Olivia was standing there, smiling at me like there was nowhere else in the world she'd rather be. The ceremony started smoothly. Vows exchanged, rings ready, the officiant's voice steady and warm. I thought, for one brief moment, that everything might actually go exactly as planned. Then the doors at the back burst open. "Wait!" The room turned as one. Claire stood in the doorway, hair disheveled, mascara streaked down her face, wearing a dress that looked like it had been thrown on in a hurry. "Claire!" Grace stood up immediately, horror written across her face. "What are you doing here?" "I need to talk to Daniel," Claire said, her voice cracking. "Please, just give me 2 minutes." Whispers rippled through the guests, the same kind I remembered from my first wedding. Except this time I wasn't the one they were whispering about. Olivia's hand found mine, steady and firm. "Do you want me to say something?" she whispered. "No," I said quietly. "I've got this." I walked down the aisle toward Claire, and the church fell into a hush so complete I could hear my own footsteps against the floor. "Claire, you can't be here." "I know," she said, tears spilling freely now. "I know I have no right. But I had to see you before you actually marry my sister." "Why?" "Because I made a mistake," she said. "The biggest mistake of my life. Marcus left me, Daniel. He left me for someone else, just like She stopped herself, choking on the rest of the sentence. "Just like you left me," I finished for her. "At the altar, In front of everyone. Yes, she whispered. I know what I did. I think about it every single day. What do you want from me, Claire? I don't know, she admitted. Maybe I just wanted you to know I regret it. Maybe some part of me hoped. Hoped what? That it's not too late, she said, barely audible. That maybe we could still. Stop, I said, and my voice came out calmer than I expected. It is too late, Claire. Not because I'm angry. I'm not, actually. Not anymore. You're not. No, I said. I spent months being angry, being humiliated, being someone I didn't recognize in the mirror. But I'm not that person anymore, and I'm not interested in going backward to fix something that was never broken because of me. Daniel, please. I found something real, I said, glancing back at Olivia, who stood watching with quiet, unwavering strength. Something I never had with you, even before the wedding. I'm not giving that up for a version of the past that doesn't exist anymore. Claire's face crumpled. I've lost everything. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and I meant it, though it didn't change anything. But that's not something I can fix for you. That's something only you can rebuild. You don't understand what it's like, she said, her voice rising now, edged with panic. I have nothing left. My apartment. My job. Marcus took everything, and now I'm watching my own sister marry the one person I... Claire! Olivia's voice cut through, calm but firm as she walked down the aisle to stand beside me. This isn't the place for this. Olivia, please, just let me explain. You've explained enough, Olivia said. You had your chance to be honest, and you chose to run instead. I'm not going to let you turn my wedding into your apology tour. I'm your sister. And I love you, Olivia said, her voice softening just slightly. But you don't get to hurt Daniel twice. Clay's breathing grew ragged, and her voice climbed louder, desperate now, grabbing at chairs, at guests, pleading with anyone who would listen. Someone has to understand. This isn't Faye. He was supposed to be mine. One of the ushers had already called for help, and within minutes, an officer stepped through the same doors Claire had burst through. Officer Cruz, calm and unbothered by the scene, approached carefully. I need you to come with me, she said. You're causing a disturbance at a private event. I just need 2 minutes. You've had them, Officer Cruz said, gently but firmly guiding her toward the exit. Let's go. The whispers followed Claire out the doors, the same way they'd once followed me. I felt something unexpected settle over me as I watched her go. Not triumph, not satisfaction. Just quiet, simple closure. Grace pressed a hand to her chest, mouthing an apology to both of us before quietly following her daughter outside. The church door closed, and silence settled back over the room. I turned to Olivia. Are you okay? I'm okay, she said. Are you? I'm better than okay, I said, and I meant every word. The officiant cleared his throat gently. Should we continue? Yes, Olivia said, taking my hands again, steady despite everything that had just happened. Let's finish this. I looked at her, really looked, and any doubt I might have carried into that church completely disappeared. I do, I said, when the moment came, and I said it without hesitation, without fear, without a single glance toward the doors. This time, the bride didn't run. This time, I wasn't standing there alone. 7 months into our marriage, Olivia sat across from me at the kitchen table, holding a small white envelope between 2 fingers like it might bite her. It's from Claire, she said. You don't have to open it if you don't want to. I know. She turned it over slowly. But I think I want to. Do you mind? It's your sister, Olivia. Read it if it helps you. She slid her finger under the flap and unfolded the letter, and I watched her eyes move across it, her expression shifting from guarded to something softer as she read. What does it say? She read it out loud, her voice quiet and steady. Olivia, I don't expect you to forgive me, and I'm not writing this because I think I deserve anything from you or Daniel. I'm writing because I finally understand what I threw away, and I need to say it out loud to someone, even if that someone never responds. I chased something that felt exciting instead of something that was real. I told myself Marcus was my first love, like that excused everything. Like nostalgia was worth more than someone who actually showed up for me. I was wrong. Daniel showed up. Every single day. In ways I never appreciated until it was gone. Marcus left the same way I did. Without warning. Without looking back. I finally understand what that felt like from the other side. And I deserve every bit of it. I hope you and Daniel are happy. I mean that. You were always the one who did things right. Even when nobody was watching. I'm sorry it took me losing everything to see that. Claire. Olivia folded the letter carefully and set it down. She sounds different, she said. Smaller, somehow. Not in a bad way. Just humbled. How do you feel about it? I don't know yet, she admitted. Sad for her, maybe, but not angry anymore. I think I let that go a while ago. Do you want to respond? Eventually, she said. Not today. Today, I just want to sit with it. I reached across the table and took her hand. That's okay. There's no rush. Ben stopped by that weekend, sprawling across our couch like he still lived there half the time. Heard Claire sent a letter, he said. Word travels fast. Small circle, he said, shrugging. How are you feeling about it? Honestly. I thought about it for a moment before answering. Honestly, I don't feel much of anything anymore. Not anger. Not satisfaction. It's strange. That's kind of the whole point, isn't it? Ben said, you didn't have to do anything to her. She did it all to herself. I used to think I wanted revenge, I admitted. I used to imagine all these moments where she'd finally understand what she took from me. But sitting here now, married to Olivia, expecting a baby, I don't need any of that anymore. Because you already won, Ben said. Not by beating her. Just by living your life. Something like that. Olivia walked in from the other room, one hand resting on her stomach, still barely showing but enough that I noticed it every time. Are you two gossiping about my sister again? Absolutely not, Ben said, grinning. Just discussing the weather. Sure you were. She sat down beside me, and I put my arm around her without thinking, the way I did 100 times a day now without even noticing. How's the baby? Ben asked. Kicking already, Olivia said. Or so I imagine. It's probably just nerves. Nerves are normal, I said. I've got plenty of those myself. Good kind of nerves, though, she said, glancing at me. Not the altar kind. Definitely not the altar kind, I agreed, and we both laughed because we could joke about it now. Enough time had passed that the memory didn't sting the way it used to. It had simply become part of the story that led us here. That night, after Ben left and Olivia had fallen asleep beside me, I lay awake thinking about everything that had brought me to this exact moment. I thought about the church doors that never opened, the note in my trembling hands, the humiliation of standing alone in front of 200 people who all watched me fall apart in real time. I thought about the months that followed, the isolation, the shame, the slow, painful process of remembering how to be a person again. And I thought about Olivia. The soup she brought when I couldn't feed myself. The silence she sat through when I had nothing left to say. The honesty she offered when I needed it most, even when it challenged me to be better than my anger wanted me to be. I never sought revenge against Claire. I never needed to. Life has its own quiet way of settling debts, and I learned that the best justice isn't loud or dramatic. It's simply living well, building something real, while the person who hurt you watches from a distance, understanding too late what they gave up. Loyalty isn't flashy. It doesn't announce itself with grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It shows up quietly, again and again, in the small moments nobody's watching. That's what Olivia gave me, long before I ever recognized it for what it was. Patience isn't about waiting for someone to come back. It's about becoming someone worth coming home to, even if that person never returns at all. I used to believe love was supposed to feel like fireworks. Loud, urgent, impossible to ignore. Now I know better. Real love is quieter than that. It's steady. It's soup on a hard night. It's someone who stays without being asked. I stopped chasing the wrong love the moment I let myself notice the right one had been standing beside me all along. And that, more than any apology or any karma, is the ending I needed.